You check your bank app and that familiar knot tightens in your stomach. You are working hard, maybe juggling a side hustle on top of a main gig, yet by the time rent is paid and groceries are bought, there is almost nothing left. It feels like you are running on a treadmill that keeps speeding up, while your paycheck stays exactly the same. If you are feeling broke all the time despite doing everything right, you are not alone, and you are not failing. We are living in a unique economic moment where the old rules of wealth simply do not apply to our generation without serious adjustments. For decades, financial gurus have preached the exact same gospel to young adults entering the workforce. They tell you to use the traditional 50-30-20 rule, which dictates spending 50% of your income on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings. But when average rent takes up 60% of your take-home pay and student loan debt eats up the rest, that math is not just frustrating, it is actively insulting. Trying to force your complex modern financial reality into a rigid, outdated formula is a recipe for burnout and intense guilt. This is exactly why Gen Z needs a flexible, income-first budgeting strategy. Instead of starting with arbitrary percentages handed down from a different economic era, an income-first approach starts with the actual dollars hitting your account right now. You look at your precise current income, especially if it fluctuates from gig work or hourly shifts, and you build your financial life around that real number. It is about working with what you actually have today, rather than what a textbook says you should have. Taking this step transforms budgeting from a restrictive cage into a tool for absolute control. You are no longer apologizing for not hitting impossible savings targets. You are becoming the architect of your own survival and growth. When you strip away the shame of not fitting into the traditional mold, you give yourself the permission to design a financial life that actually fits your reality. This mindset shift is the very first step in moving from a place of deep scarcity to one of sustainable power. The reality of the modern job market is that income is rarely a smooth, predictable line. Precarious contracts, freelance gigs, and variable hours mean your paycheck might look wildly different from one month to the next. When your cash flow is this unpredictable, a rigid spreadsheet shatters the moment you have a slow week or your hours get cut. This volatility makes planning feel impossible, leaving many young people paralyzed, choosing to just wing it rather than face the stress of a broken plan. To counter this, your flexible budget must be anchored by your baseline survival number. You calculate the absolute bare minimum you need to keep a roof over your head, the lights on, and basic food in the fridge. This is your baseline. In an income-first strategy, every single dollar you earn up to that baseline is deployed with laser focus to cover those non-negotiable costs. Once that baseline is met, any extra income from a good week or a side hustle becomes a strategic tool for progress rather than just accidental spending money. Mastering this baseline brings a profound sense of relief that permeates your entire life. Suddenly, the anxiety of a lighter paycheck does not send you into a panic spiral because you already know exactly what needs to be cut and what must be prioritized. You stop merely surviving the month and start looking ahead, realizing that stability is possible even when the world around you feels chaotic. That foundational peace of mind is the bedrock upon which true wealth is eventually built. But even with a clear baseline, there is a silent drain on our resources that keeps many of us trapped. We often fall victim to money leaks, which are those small, unnoticed expenses that quietly siphon away our hard-earned cash. It is the forgotten streaming subscription you have not watched in 6 months, the daily app purchases, or the convenience fees that feel too small to matter in the moment. Individually, they are harmless, but collectively, they act like 1,000 tiny cuts to your financial health. Identifying these leaks requires a brutally honest, yet entirely judgment-free audit of your recent spending. You sit down with your bank statements and highlight every single recurring charge or mindless tap-to-pay transaction that did not bring you real joy or serve a vital need. The goal here is not to punish yourself for buying a coffee, but to reclaim the dollars that are slipping away without your active consent. Conscious spending means you are the one choosing where your money goes, rather than letting convenience dictate your life. Consider the impact of simply plugging a few of these hidden drains. A young designer I know was convinced she had absolutely zero room to save, feeling completely suffocated by her entry-level salary and high rent. By auditing her money leaks, she uncovered $40 a month in unused digital subscriptions and redundant app fees. Redirecting that small, found money gave her the initial spark of momentum she needed, proving to herself that she actually had the agency to change her financial trajectory. That reclaimed money is the perfect seed for your emergency fund. An emergency fund is a dedicated savings stash designed specifically to cover unexpected financial shocks, like a sudden medical bill, a car repair, or a period of unemployment. It is the buffer between a minor life inconvenience and a catastrophic financial crisis. In an income-first approach, building this fund does not require massive deposits. It is about consistently funneling those plugged leaks and any variable surplus into a safe, accessible account. Having that safety net, even if it starts as just a couple of $100s, fundamentally alters your brain chemistry. You walk a little taller knowing that a flat tire will not force you to skip meals or max out a high-interest credit card. It transforms you from a victim of circumstance into someone who is prepared for the harsh realities of life. This psychological armor is invaluable, providing the courage needed to take calculated risks in your career and personal growth. Of course, building savings feels incredibly daunting when the shadow of past borrowing looms over everything. Student loans and credit card balances are the defining financial hurdles for our generation, often growing faster than entry-level wages can keep up. High interest rates, represented by the APR or annual percentage rate on your cards, mean that minimum payments barely make a dent in the principal balance. This systemic weight can make the entire concept of budgeting feel like bailing water out of a sinking ship with a teaspoon. Your flexible budget tackles this by prioritizing high-interest debt without sacrificing your daily survival. Once your baseline needs are met and a starter safety net is in place, you direct your surplus income toward the debt with the highest APR. This is where the flexibility shines. In a high-earning month, you attack the principal aggressively. In a lean month, you drop back to minimum payments without feeling like you have failed your financial plan. You adapt the strategy to the reality of your current cash flow. Watching those balances shrink, even slowly, creates a powerful feedback loop of motivation. As the debt decreases, the amount of your own money you get to keep each month increases, accelerating your overall progress. You begin to see a future where your paycheck belongs entirely to you, not to a massive lender. That vision of a debt-free life is what sustains your discipline through the months when sticking to the plan feels tedious. If we ignore this need for a flexible system and continue to fly blind, the economic machine will gladly make our choices for us. Without a conscious plan, inflation and lifestyle creep will consume every extra dollar you ever earn, keeping you locked in a cycle of paycheck-to-paycheck stress. The financial industry thrives on this exact kind of passive consumption, relying on our exhaustion to keep us paying late fees and carrying profitable balances. Apathy is the most expensive financial mistake you can make in today's economy, but you are actively choosing to disrupt that cycle right now. By embracing an income-first mindset, you are taking back the power that the system tries to strip away from young earners. You are acknowledging that while the economic landscape is incredibly tough, your response to it is entirely within your control. Every time you track an expense, plug a leak, or save a dollar, you are casting a vote for your own independence. Maintaining this independence requires turning your flexible budget into a living, breathing routine. Set aside 20 minutes every single payday to review your numbers, adjust your baseline if necessary, and allocate your funds before you even have a chance to spend them. Treat this money date with yourself as a non-negotiable appointment. Consistency in these small, unglamorous actions is what ultimately builds the foundation for massive, life-changing wealth over time. As your stability grows, this same flexible framework will naturally expand to include long-term wealth building. The surplus that once went to paying off a credit card will eventually be funneled into assets that grow while you sleep, like an ETF or a high-yield savings account. An ETF, or exchange-traded fund, is simply a basket of different investments that you can buy into, allowing you to own a tiny piece of hundreds of companies at once. Your budget evolves from a defensive shield into an offensive weapon for your future. The journey from feeling completely broke to becoming financially built is not about perfection, and it is certainly not about punishing yourself. It is about radical honesty, relentless flexibility, and a commitment to your own future freedom. You have the resilience to master this. The tools are in your hands, the strategy is clear, and the life you want to build is waiting on the other side of your next smart decision. Remember, your financial journey is uniquely yours. The old rules do not define you, and your current bank balance does not dictate your ultimate potential. By focusing on your income first and adapting to the realities of your life, you are laying down bricks on a path that leads straight to sustainable wealth. Keep learning, keep adapting, and always remember that the information provided here is for educational purposes, so please consult a qualified financial professional before making any major financial decisions.